Every branch in me that does not bear fruit, he takes it away. But every branch that bears fruit, he prunes so that it may bear more fruit. We'll talk about that first part in a second. He says, so if a person is just not bearing fruit, he takes it away. We'll talk about that in a second. But he says, if you are bearing fruit, he prunes you. He prunes you. He cuts you. He prunes you. What is pruning? Notice this tree over here. This tree over here has some pieces on it that are what? Dying. And some that are actually dead. But the vine is trying to bring resources to the branches. But they're dead. So what are they doing? They're sucking up resources from the vine, but they're dead. So in order for new growth to happen, what you got to do? You got to prune it. And watch what's going to happen. We're going to water this thing. It's going to be cultivated because that's what the vine dresser does. The vine dresser cultivates and prunes because he says this plant has not reached its full potential. And it won't reach its full potential unless I cut some stuff away. Some of y'all got some stuff that you said, I just can't live without. I can't live without this man. I can't live without this woman. I can't live without this job. And God is saying, really? What's going to happen if I cut that thing out? What's going to happen if I cut that relationship out? What's going to happen if I cut and snip the job away? Am I still God? Am I still Jehovah Jireh, your provider? Y'all know a few months ago, I mourned over a job loss. But you know what God told me? He said, you're going to see that if it wasn't for the job being lost, you would never have the fruit that I have in store for you. You see, you won't produce to your full capacity if you're still holding on to stuff that's dead. And I'm going to tell you, pruning is painful sometimes. God, I loved it. I loved it. Why did you have to take that from me? And God is saying, I am the vine. I am the one that's going to give you the sustenance, the strength. And the only way that you're going to conquer and grow is if I snip that thing out. If I cut that thing away. What is that thing that you got an unhealthy dependency on? What is that thing that you're holding on to? And God is saying, I want to snip it. I want to snip it. Because when the Father prunes, he says, I got the prune so that you can bear what? Even more fruits. Some of us hold on to things, and he's saying it's holding you back from your spiritual vitality because you're not allowing me to snip it away. God will do whatever it takes to get you where you need to be. There's some people in this church that was with Connect Church from almost its very beginning. And some of y'all know kind of what this journey has been like. We started, before we even got started, there was a church in Ellenwood that was down to about 5 to 10 members. And they said, Pastor, you're coming here, we want to help, and we're thinking about, giving you this church. So we started meeting there for Bible study, and then we had our first preview service. 50 folks showed up. And those 5 to 10 people was like, well, if all these jokers show up, we lose our voting power. Next Sunday, they said, we don't think we want you here at our church. Then we moved to an elementary school, and we were there for about a year. And then that principal said, I don't want a church meeting in my school anymore. Then we moved to a recreation center. And at the recreation center, we had an accident at the recreation center. And of course, that time they said, nah, we don't want you meeting at our recreation center. And then all of a sudden that was abrupt. So we met outside for a Sunday. We met outside at a park for a Sunday. Then we met in the back of another church at a fellowship hall. Y'all counting them up? That's 5 locations in less than 2 years. We were a church if you could find us. Then from the back of the church, we were there for about a month. We moved to the movie theater. And after we moved to the movie theater went out of business. You know what God was doing? Snipping. You know what God was doing? Pruning. Then after the movie theater closed, all of a sudden we met right in front of Macy's at South DeKalb Mall. And it was like, God, what is going on? And I know some people got discouraged and were just like, I can't continue to be nomads going from place to place. And I said, I understand. And some people left. You know what that was? That was also snipping. That was also cutting. That was also, and it was painful. We grieved. We cried. God, what's going on? But then all of a sudden we stayed over here for some years, and sure enough, the mall was just like, we really don't want a church here, but if y'all gonna be here, we'll help you out. And y'all have seen that. What was God doing? Snipping. Why? Because what he's saying is where I'm taking you took all of the pruning so that you could be stronger, so that you could be wiser, so that you could be better. And the fruit that God is going to produce for us and this church, eyes haven't seen it, ears have not heard. We just got to be connected to the source, the source, the source. The vine is what gives us strength, y'all. The vine does. Jesus says, I am the true vine. People thought we wouldn't be here years ago, but 9 years later, we're still here. 9 years later, we're still doing camps. 9 years later, Connect Sports is still going on. Why? Because God was saying, I got to prune in order to produce.